What's going on, everyone? So, the boy in white clearly needed Henry to return to FROMVILLE, or not return, but come to FROMVILLE for a purpose, right? We know now in hindsight that the boy in white helped Tabitha get to the real world. The boy in white also led Tabitha down the path to ultimately get to Henry. She gets Henry, they get in the car, and then they end up back in FROMVILLE. FROMVILLE doesn't want Henry in there. The boy in white wanted Henry in there, right? The boy in white said himself, this is the only way. He needed to push her out the window. He needed to open the door, one, so he could kind of follow her through, and two, to help her, one, hopefully unlock some of her memories, unlock some of her past by seeing Miranda and, all her drawings and stuff, and two, to bring back Henry. That's why Henry returned. For a purpose. There has to be a reason Henry has returned for a purpose, right? And we know now, Tabitha was never supposed to go through the bottle tree, right? Like, Victor was wrong in telling even his mother. So, Tabitha could have ended up dying, but she had the help of the boy in white. The boy in white wanted her to go through there and ended up getting her right to where she needed to be in Henry's town. So, I do believe that Henry is going to serve a purpose at some point. I don't think it's just pure happenstance that the boy in white decided to bring Henry back just because he wanted to do something nice for Victor, right? Like, there clearly was a logic and reason to that. Now, you look at the boy in white and you look at the man in yellow. Obviously, two very contrasting things, right? You have good versus evil. You have the man in yellow, you have the boy in white, purity, innocence, right? Youth. You have the man in yellow, older, kind of dark looking, right? Like, you have the balance, right? And whatever it ends up being, could end up being that, one's God and the devil, one is, just good and evil entities in this place. Maybe it's not like some, religious or mythology built system, right? Maybe it's just this spirit or this being that is good and the spirit in this being that is evil, right? Or it could be that the man in yellow was the one to first sacrifice the boy in white, right? Why wouldn't that be the case? Given what we know now, we know that all of the children were sacrificed by the monsters we see with the promise of immortality. And you saw that. But here's the other thing, right? Like, no one's just going to take somebody at face value for that. But if the man in yellow was the first one to make the sacrifice, he is the living proof. He is the example. Look at what I've become. Imagine what you could be if you do the same. It also would make sense why, one, the boy in white, and two, the man in yellow, kind of operate different than all the other monsters and the Ankui children, right? Because they are two characters that were the first. And usually the first is always the strong. I mean, think of like, vampires and like Dracula and stuff. Like, think of every story, whatever. The first is always the strongest. So it would make sense that they have the abilities that they have because of that purpose, because they were the first. So what if the way to help prevent things, right? What is the commonality here? There is this father-son element, and there is sacrifice. Sacrifice is what led to this place of FROMVILLE. Sacrifice and hatred and evil and somebody wanting power, right? Somebody wanting to live forever and wanting that power so much so that they were willing to sacrifice their own children for that immortality. The ones that they're supposed to protect and love and provide for, right? Like those, like that is evil. That's as evil as it gets, right? Okay, well, you have the commonality of sacrifice. You have the commonality of a father sacrificing their child or parents sacrificing their children. And then you have the commonality of sacrifice leads to some type of reward, right? You saw both of, Tian even dying. It was a sacrifice that bred food for the town. She is the literal chef and cook, right? She was the one that was responsible for feeding everybody. And we keep seeing when people die, things happen, right? Families return, good things happen depending on the significance of that death, such as Tien. What if Henry's purpose is to sacrifice Victor? And what if that is why the boy in white does not want to tell Victor? Remember, Victor said, what do I have to do to help? And he didn't want to tell him. What if it's because he doesn't want to have to tell Victor, you have to die. Your father has to kill you in order for you to serve your purpose and to save this town. Right? Like, I think it makes sense. You have a father and a son, but you have one that is pure love. You had another father and a son that was evil, that was willing to sacrifice that love for immortality, to be the ruler of FROMVILLE, right? To be the overseer. Well, what's more pure than the opposite? Right? Two people that love each other that have to make a sacrifice for the greater good, that have to sacrifice for the betterment of this place. I think that would be a sort of powerful, impactful moment. It kind of serves the purpose for Victor, serves the purpose for Henry, right? It's why they both are there and on this mission, and why now they're starting to help each other. And what did Henry say? Right? It's my job to protect you, right? It's my job. Your mother was trying to protect you. That's my job now, right? Like, what if the opposite is true? What if he has to kill him? If he has to take him out in order to save him and everybody, right? Would Victor be willing to do so? Possibly. But would Henry? Right? Would Henry be okay with killing his own father or killing his own son? Especially the son he just got back. Just got his son back. And now you're telling me I have to kill him? Now you're telling me I have to do this for, like, it's the ultimate sacrifice. What is a commonality in every movie and every type of genre, right? The sacrifice of love, right? The true love is stronger. The power of love is stronger than anything. It is the common trope. At the end of the day, this is still a horror show, horror franchise, right? And good conquers evil, love conquers all. You have this love, you have this purity, right? But you've seen that, like, that's the element for everything, right? Like, that's the element for, Tabitha and Jade and the Ankui child, right? Like, Tabitha with her children, the loss of her child, right? Like, Thomas and stuff, right? Like, you're constantly seeing that. And this place is about loss. It is about pain. It is about suffering. It is about hate. It is about evil. Well, how do you counter that? With an equal to greater good. And just like the man in yellow may have sacrificed the boy in white to create this place, maybe Henry, a good father, has to sacrifice his son to end this place, right? And the blood spilt that created the roots for the tree, the hope, right? Like, okay, well, all of it would tie in, all of it would make sense. Like, that Victor is the answer to that hope. That maybe he has to spill his blood at the bottle tree or something, and then that opens up the portal in order to do so. It also makes sense why the boy in white, again, maybe doesn't want to tell Victor what has to happen. He needs to figure it out himself, because he needs to come to that realization. He needs to come to the acceptance of that by himself, right? He needs to figure that out, come to that realization, and then once they do, then, hey, now you have a decision to make. Because if he just tells him that, he might panic, he might freak out, right? Like, what if he doesn't want to die? There's a million things, like he kill his own father instead, right? Like, there's a lot that could happen and take place. But what if that's the way to do it? Sacrifice. And Victor's been there the longest. It would make sense. Why is Victor alive? Why did the boy in white choose Victor? Because what if Victor was the key? What if Victor was the purpose? Victor was the one that you needed in order to unlock this. It almost feels like, we've talked about this before, it almost feels like Victor is untouchable in this place. But what if he is? Because he is supposed to die. He is meant to be killed, but he's not meant to be killed at the hands of the monsters in this place. There always has to be a chance. You always have to have a shot. And that shot is that Victor is the one who has to die in order to unlock everything. And you have this love. You have the father and his son have to make the ultimate sacrifice. You know, the father has to kill. Maybe he even has to take himself out too. Maybe it's, you know, they both have to die together somehow, some way. Right? That could also be why they haven't done that. I mean, again, like the monsters had Victor and Henry dead to rights. They easily could have taken them both out. Or at least Henry. Could have easily killed Henry. Because Henry didn't know. He was oblivious. He doesn't know his way through the tunnels and stuff, right? Like, and they didn't. They just stood there and just let them go, right? And even said, like, oh, you keep coming down here, we might have to make you stay, right? Like, there's been times in this series where Victor literally appeared, like, when they're moving the animals. All the monsters are like going after Jade and everyone else. They're not even bothered by Victor. Victor literally goes and runs and helps, right? Like, and like he's fearless all the time. Like he has no worry, no regard for like his own life. Like he care less. Even like Julie, right? When the colony house is being attacked, right? He helps Julie get down first. He didn't jump down. No, hey, go. You need to go. Get out of here. Like, oh, what about you? Like, don't worry, just go. Right, and then she's headed the other direction. Right, she's about to run into the fire, and he's like, no, like, hey, come this way, I'll keep you safe. Like, he wasn't worried about himself; he was worried about her. He was trying to keep her safe, her alive. Right, he was trying to make sure she didn't die. You know, so it would make sense that there would be a purpose. There has to be a reason why Henry is there. There has to be a reason why Victor stayed alive, while Victor was allowed to live. And no one else did. And why he was allowed to live for so long. I mean, like 40 years he's been able to survive. How? Where's he been eating? What has he been doing? The monsters haven't been tracking him? Nothing? They care less about him? What? There has to be a purpose for Victor. And there has to be a purpose for Henry coming to FROMVILLE. What is that purpose? What if the purpose is Victor is the key that has to die and it has to be at the hands of Henry? I think it makes sense. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like this idea? Do you hate this idea? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.